Hi, guys. All right. So, welcome back to Kate's Regretless Life. So, this is going to be a reading, today's topic reading, and it is going to be for the 21st. Um, Real briefly, I'll be picking a winner, by the way, probably tomorrow. I'm not going to do it tonight, and I'm just going to briefly explain. I am getting to some things way later this evening than what I had anticipated. So, I'm on a bit of a time crunch, and that is briefly, I will just mention this because it was very, very upsetting. And he is okay, but Aries got attacked by a dog this evening, and it was just a really scary, really unpleasant thing. And it was, yeah, humans don't always make very good decisions. And somebody just they handed their dog to their 4-year-old child, and the dog outweighed the child, and the dog was not trained, and the dog took out after my pup. And oh, I guess maybe I'm still a little tiny bit rattled. So So to move forward with this reading, um, so I'm still kind of stuck on this deck that I'm really enjoying right now. So I keep doing these pre-shuffles before I turn on the camera so that I get a chance to sit with some energy and just look at things and work with it first. And so that is exactly what I did once again. And I will probably continue this because I'm digging this deck and the messages that I get. So tonight we actually have 2 cards that popped out, and I'm working through the whole deck, not just major arcana. So it's whatever happens, happens. Um, so it's going to be another one of those readings, guys, where we're going to go down the rabbit hole. Everybody grab your popcorn, grab your pantyhose. Here we go. Um, this is the 4 of air in this deck represents that it's time. Okay. So it's time for us to evaluate, where are we spending our time? The example they give is like, have we been basically procrastinating? Not creating good habits for ourselves, but rather letting, we've got this idea like, I want to write this book. I have this wonderful book that I want to write, but instead I'm going to get tangled up, on social media, clicking on things, responding to things. And pretty soon 3 hours goes by and I didn't yet write down a single thing that I needed to, or study something. I was going to study every single night for 2 hours, a foreign language. And instead I kind of whiled away my time, and I didn't really wind up having much to show for it. Those are the things that if we're not careful, we can slip into patterns. And on one hand, we all got to cut ourselves some slack and have fun. But on the other hand, do we need a little bit more discipline? Do we need to take stock of some things? Because here again, we are seeing um, a blend of, we've got the third eye chakra up above, kind of like not just third eye, but I always look at this as our higher self as well, that is very clearly talking to us about the timing. And it looks like it's 9 o'clock here. So 9 o'clock could be important for some of you. It's not 9 o'clock here yet, but not where I am, but it's coming into that evening hour. But we've got the clock here that is being connected to the third eye or crown chakra, and it's telling us what time it is, and it's also telling us that the cogs of this wheel need to start turning. Time is passing and we need to be making headway, and so put our affairs in order. Now this may be referring to one particular person who keeps procrastinating doing something. Maybe somebody wants to take action, but they keep going, yeah, I'm gonna send this message, I'm gonna comment, I'm gonna reach out, I'm gonna do this tomorrow. Oh, okay. You know what? I can't do it until next weekend. So next weekend is the weekend that I'm going to do this. And then they don't. The next card seems to be the reason for this. So we have masculine and feminine. Okay. This is talking about how we have that blend within all of us, right? We all have our masculine and our feminine. And there are times where we need to yield one side or the other. So I will tell you, good card to describe what happened tonight. When my doggy was attacked, um, I definitely pulled on my masculine energy because the person who owned the dog didn't show up. And so it was just me. Um, and, mama can only hear her baby cry and be, panicked for so long. And then you get fierce. And pretty soon, like, I didn't even know I had that pitch to my voice, but I am a dragon on the inside, everybody. And so the dragon mother in me came out, and the pitch of my voice, I think even I was scared of it. There are times when your command or your power steps in. This is a blend of the masculine and feminine energy. We can be soft, we can be mothering, we can be tender, and then we can also pull on that, the fighting energy, right? And all of us have that, but sometimes we get imbalanced. So, but this could talk about somebody who keeps putting off doing what they need to do because they are afraid to surrender to perhaps their feminine side. Perhaps they are, whatever that balance is, they only know how to operate in one way. And to change something or to take action on something would perhaps require them to call upon one other part of themselves. If it's a, like somebody who's got a lot of powerful masculine energy, they may not want to put themselves into that. I'm gonna use the word, like, what they view as a subservient position or an apologetic position or anything that would make them feel less powerful to come in and maybe, like, I don't want to say bow, but it can be hard to humble ourselves. Okay. And that has nothing to do with gender. It just, we're talking about energy flow, but it could be something along those lines. So somebody continuously finds other things that take up their time so they don't have to tap into that other energy. They keep putting this off. This is what's being put off, is the allowing ourselves to blend our masculine and feminine energies, which means somebody is too much in one or the other. They may be either too feminine or too masculine right now. Again, this is not to say good or bad. This is just to say, and the only thing I can use as a good example is what I've already said to you about myself, especially tonight, being both sides of me. It's an interesting blend, but sometimes when it's not in a moment of like chaos where you suddenly pull on that masculine energy where you're like, I'm ready to fight if I have to. Um, if it's in a non-chaotic situation, it's hard to know how to get in touch with that other energy and use it in a calm scenario. Sometimes it's hard to know how to stand up for ourselves. Maybe somebody needs to stand up for themselves. Maybe somebody needs to call on that masculine energy of, like, pushing someone else's energy back, and we get tested all the time. But this looks like it's a big thing that somebody is facing, and it is time for them to take action, and taking action requires them to do something here with that graceful weaving of the masculine and feminine energy without ever feeling weak. That's the key point here. You don't have to feel weak because you are, say you're a really strong masculine, you view yourself that way, but that feminine energy in you also makes you strong. It's okay if at times you really tap into that and go, okay, right now is the time for me to be this version of myself, because we all have that, but somebody might be struggling with that. Somebody keeps putting off doing something, saying something, taking action, because the challenge is they have to tap into the other side of their character. And that is an uncomfortable thing for someone to do, whether it's to take on the masculine or whether it's to take on the feminine, whatever that difference would be. Someone who needs to stand up or somebody who needs to surrender. I don't know how else to say that. It could be something as simple as telling a boss, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And somebody's going to still try to get you to work those extra hours. And you're like, no, I don't want to do that. Sometimes it's, none of this is about fighting, right? This is about how we stand up for ourselves. That's all. So let's see where this one takes us. King of Pentacles. Somebody who is wanting to overcome. Wow. Okay. So we have a twin flame reading. Hold on. Let me show them all to you at once. So we've got the King of Pentacles, which almost slipped out of my hands again. And somebody really wants to come out. So funny, because do you notice how this person, I've never seen this before, honestly. They're little. This is a small individual standing on top of talk about masculine energy here, standing on top of like such a virile like imagery of masculinity, right? A buck. Does it get much more masculine than that? Like a lion is the only other thing that would maybe carry the same energy with it. The bucks are the ones that have those huge horns, and we see all this finances underneath this as well. Somebody has been able to stand on maybe their fortune, um, to make themselves feel like, see, this is how I know that I've been successful. Someone may stand on that and their masculinity is wrapped up in that. Someone may say, the fact that I have built a legacy for myself and a legacy that will continue, that is part of how I identify my strength. And I say this only because that they're standing on, they are actually the smallest part of this imagery, right? So somebody perhaps has been feeling like the legacy that they create is more important than who they really are. And that might be something that this person really wants to have growth. They really want to have growth. But the truth of it is, how do I explain this? It's almost like this person is not truly arrogant. They really aren't. But they might have found a lot of things that they are like, I am confident. Look at what I've accomplished. They want to be seen. They want to be respected. That's the simplest way to say it. If this is a masculine, they have worked very hard and they want to be respected for what they've accomplished. And they deserve to be respected for what they've accomplished, right? That's job well done. Absolutely. But they would be respected even without these accomplishments, just by the character of who they are as well. With the King of Pentacles in the upright, this is someone who has earned respect not because of what they've accomplished, but because of their character. So we actually have someone who, they may not actually see themselves like that. They may actually think that they are more defined by their successes, and that may be the one fallacy, and they may not be able to see that clearly. Even though this king is in the upright, they do know it, but this is very important to them. It's funny that we're going to talk so much about energies, masculine and feminine energies tonight, but that's what it seems like is happening right here. So, please know this is not to vilify one or the other, to say, whatever energy we're talking about, there's not a villain at all here. This is actually really beautiful. That's any man that represents that, heck yeah, they got my respect. That's an amazing card that represents an incredible male. Or like I say, just a male energy. It may be a woman who carries that character, and that's respectable as well. Somebody wants to get over their fears. With this card in particular, this is like someone maybe has felt judged for a very long time. Someone's been terrified. This Nine of Swords is the worries that we have, but it's very specific. The worries are that someone has always looked at us and weighed and measured us. Someone no longer cares. Nobody, whoever this is, and I'm feeling like this is coming from more of a masculine energy. Whoever this is saying, I don't care anymore about what everybody else thinks of my decisions. I stand on my own 2 feet. Maybe somebody had to rebuild their own fortune. Maybe they had to rebuild their own money so that they can say, I don't care. Nobody pays my bills. I choose what I'm going to do myself. I owe nobody an explanation. Doesn't matter if I'm approved of or not. I feel like this is very much somebody standing in their power right now. And that is leading them to be able to, I think, admit that there is another energy somewhere on this planet that they feel so interwoven to. And I feel like this is somebody admitting to themselves and maybe now to the world and to others that I am interwoven to another human being. Now, this could be someone who is talking about a same-sex couple saying, whatever I choose is absolutely, even if society doesn't approve, even if family doesn't approve, whatever it may be, none of that matters because I don't have to be defined by someone else's set of rules. I am confident in my own choices. I am confident even if, and this could, again, we talk about masculine and feminine energies quite a lot here. This could have to do with like, it's time to step up and say like, Doesn't matter how anyone has identified in the past. This is who I love. This is who I am. Maybe this is somebody coming out. Maybe this is somebody expressing who they love. Or maybe this is simply somebody saying, I love who I love, whether or not other people approve of this. Whatever the obstacles have been. And obstacles can be anything from socioeconomic backgrounds, and we still have, religious prejudices, or we have, like I said, gender prejudices, whatever this may be. This is a story where somebody no longer cares about any of that. Whatever it is that I choose that suits me, that other half that I feel is out there for me, that's who I'm choosing. And I'm confident in myself. This may be a big step for somebody, though, to be able to choose and truly, truly feel confident about their choices, to where it doesn't matter if the world doesn't approve of them. They're going to choose what they want. And this is the new beginning. This creates a new beginning in everything, an innocence, a fresh start, love. This has perhaps been a long time coming, but it's almost like somebody's going to be kind of reborn. If this has been a tarnished love affair, we have a fresh new start. If this has been someone who is held at bay, who they really were for the longest time, or what they really wanted for the longest time, they are now finally saying what it is that they need to say to whomever would have judged them in the past, and maybe it's just it's just finding their own voice. But this has been something that someone wants to do, but they kind of keep pushing off a little bit, keep pushing it back a little bit. So this has something to do with either, I get one storyline where it could be a masculine who's struggling with like really surrendering to come in and say, look, I don't care what the rest of the world thinks. You're the person I love. You are my twin flame. Maybe this is a tough thing for somebody to even talk about. Maybe the whole concept of soulmate, twin flame, all that energy that, maybe this is somebody saying, I've never been able to unravel myself from you. You are a part of me all the time. That can be something that is hard for someone to say if this has been a long time coming. But it's the only way to have the fresh new beginning. For somebody else, this is saying, it's been a long time for me to admit that maybe I'm in love with the same gender, maybe someone that has been a best friend to me has actually always been the one I'm in love with. This can be anything that somebody's finally acknowledging where their other half is. And for some reason, that other half seemed to have been a taboo for a long time. I don't know if it has to do with gender or if it just had to do with somebody who's like too strong. They don't want to admit that I need you as my other half because I feel better when I'm with you. That may be something that made somebody feel weak to be able to say that. Doesn't matter what gender we're talking about. But this looks like a story where the big struggle is to open up about the fact that you are the one that I'm still entwined with, always have been, always will be. That's a big admission to make for this person, whoever this is. Ace of Swords in the upright. Ace of Swords in the upright. Big truth. Big truth. And this is that King of Pentacles. This is this person who has to, wow. Okay, this is an amazing reading. And as much as I am like, gosh, should I put this one out or should I not? Because I was fairly emotional at the beginning about my doggy. I'm gonna have to put it out because it's a great read. Um, someone is very much seeing things clearly. This is what I must do. This is the truth. Every sign, every signal keeps telling me this. We have these two ravens coming around, talking, talking, talking. Everywhere I look, I see, in this case, we see runes, but this person could be getting information all the time that is telling them, speak your truth. Your controversial taboo truth, whatever this is, whatever you have fought and held back for so long, you cannot, because actually to hold back would actually take away your power. You want to stand in your power. You want to be this incredible person that you are. You're more powerful when you speak your truth, whatever that is, no matter how much it seemed like, would I be weak for telling somebody I need them, that I love them? Would I be weak for telling, my family, like I'm coming out of the closet or I'm choosing this or, whatever this is somebody realizing, no, that makes me strong. That makes me authentic. It's very Beautiful. Wow. So we have two cards, and forgive me, I thought there was only one. It was actually two that were kind of stuck together with a little bit of coffee. That'd be me. This no longer worrying about what somebody has to say about a situation. It's because somebody already says, no, I actually feel good about myself for the choices I'm making. It doesn't matter if you don't approve. I feel good. I am proud of who I am. Somebody has, I don't know what this is, but they have, once they get this ball rolling, once they're procrastinating from doing it, and then once they just kind of like start, it's like you can't hold them back. This person is proud of themselves, but I think they might be pleasantly shocked to discover that other people are proud of them as well. The worries that they had that somebody would judge them for whatever their choice is going to be that they're about to reveal. This is somebody revealing it to the world, but they're actually being celebrated for it. This is like uh, with this high priestess in the reverse, it's almost like somebody knew all along what this person needed to do. Maybe this is a very understanding, empathetic family member who really supports them. Maybe this is that situation where somebody goes to their grandmother and says, "You know what? I got to tell you the truth. Like, I'm in love with my best friend and happens to be the same gender as me." And the grandmother is like, "Sweetheart, I've known that for years. I was hoping you'd figure it out." It could be something like that where it's like, "Darling, I know it's okay." This could also be a situation where somebody comes in to announce like bravely and proudly, like, I love you, and I don't want to, like, hide this. If this has been something, again, that had been taboo for one reason or another, I have no need to hide this. I'm proud of you, and I think that we together are gonna be successful, and it's whoever this other recipient is. This could be a strong masculine coming in to actually give their heart, and this is oftentimes a very powerful feminine, um, who is extremely sensual, who's like, "Yes, I've known that all along. I wondered when you were gonna figure it out. Like, of course, this would work between us. I've always known that we would work." That's the only reason I put it in that context is because that is a powerful feminine figure oftentimes. And then with this Two of Cups, this is like the return of a twin flame coming back together, taking a leap of faith together, having this beautiful new beginning where it's listening to the guidance of the universe first, foremost, and always. This is that Sufi dancer who spins and spins because they're mimicking the movement of the heavens above, of the solar system, of the planets. And they get into this form of active meditation and they are connected to the universe. And whoever this is who has finally started to understand what a powerful connection this is. And everybody who watches my channel knows I have a slightly different view of twin flame energy than most people, just in the sense that I don't subscribe to the idea that there's actually only one. I actually don't think that. I think that there is more than one. Um, but I think it's a profound connection. I think it's unlike any other. I have personal reasons for why I believe this, but in any case, there are there are things about this connection that this is really, really powerful. This is someone is ready to say, I don't know how and I don't know why. This could have been a relationship that barely got off the ground. This could have been a relationship where there has been almost no interaction. And yet, all I know is that you are permanently in my blood. You are permanently a part of my breath. It's like no matter how far I am from you, I feel you anyway. So I'm now going to go ahead and take a leap of faith and say, for whatever reason, I'm not going to try to deny that this is something that I can, pretend doesn't exist or walk away from. This is a huge, huge, huge thing. Okay, can I get one card over the Page of Pentacles? Page of Pentacles. I still feel like I want to go back real quick and just ask about the procrastination and the masculine feminine also at the very end here. I don't know why, but I want to go in the reverse. Hold on just a minute. Okay. Um, so we got this Two of Wands in the reverse. That's the one that just fell onto the floor that I had to go capture. Um, Sorry, I'm glancing over at my baby. Nervous mama here still, huh? Um, Somebody is very confident about what they want to do. And although it starts out little, it starts out soft, it starts out gentle, we have the Ace of Cups as well. And the Ace of Cups is all about giving the real cup of love, the genuine, transformational. I feel like the major change here is somebody who maybe has been ice cold, locked down emotions their whole life, fought tooth and nail that they're not supposed to express. They're not supposed to feel. They're not supposed to be soft. They're not supposed to. I keep getting this vibe that we are dealing with, and let me explain why. I keep getting this vibe that we've been dealing with masculine energy that has been very powerful, but very controlled, doesn't do emotions, doesn't express because they were told they're not supposed to. But this person is an incredibly deep person, an incredibly sensitive, intuitive, powerful, loving individual. Basically, it's like the greatest kind of masculine out there because they are incredibly warm and incredibly intuitive, and they're also incredibly strong. The only thing is that if somebody got put into a box and, society told them, or, parents told them, you're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to express, you're not allowed to do any of these things, this person has slowly come to the realization that why? That doesn't make me weak, that makes me stronger. And this is yet one more level where this individual is actually showing what a fabulous person they actually are, because they maybe they are a powerful masculine and they are also a sensitive, loving masculine. And on top of it, they are breaking free of somebody else's rules that they impressed upon them. So this person is also showing their own backbone, their own personal strength. To me, that is like, that shows so much. Um, like what a beautiful masculine to have all those qualities, and then to also have that self-confidence to eventually show that side of themselves and to break free of the confines of what somebody else told them. This is somebody who does think for themselves. It might have taken them a long time. You even see this individual is like in kind of like military garb, almost like they've had a rigid life. Maybe they were raised in a rigid lifestyle, but there has been something about another person, whoever their twin flame is, that has softened something and impacted them and made them realize that it is not weak to be softer or to show that emotion or to open up. I rarely have readings that are like this where it seems to be more gender specific, but obviously this really is. So I don't know. I still don't know in what aspect this is referring to things. The strongest storyline that I get is that we are dealing with a masculine that was raised in a very traditional male archetype where you can't cry, you can't express, you need to be kind of brusque. Maybe you don't show a lot of emotion or sensitivity. They might have even been encouraged, like, go ahead, you have a couple different women on the side, or, something like, that's how a man behaves. They could have had like a distorted belief system impressed on them. And this person was like, I don't want that. I want my soulmate, whatever that is, whatever gender that is. I want my soulmate. I want the twin flame. I want the person who actually is like my equal other half. And maybe it's a strong feminine. Maybe it's me, having my person beside me, like my true partner in life. And maybe they were told they can't have that. Maybe they were told, no, you always have to be isolated. You always have to be ice cold. This person is overcoming that, which I think is amazing. But they have been putting into action. Maybe because there's still this last little shred of like, oh God, can I do this? Oh my God, can I actually be soft enough? What if I open up to the person that I believe is my twin flame and I am rejected by them? Or what if they say, what do you mean? I don't feel that for you. Like I feel like this person is holding back because there's a fear of what if I got it all wrong? But they didn't get it all wrong. This is an amazing person, whoever we're reading about. Might they have been ice cold? Yes. Might they have even hurt somebody's feelings because they were acting ice cold? Yes. But I feel like somehow, look at the difference in these two cards. What a crazy reading. We get ice cold and hotter than Hades, right? There is this burning fire that never stops. There is something that is thawed this person out no matter what and eats away at them and keeps telling them, you are stronger because you embrace both sides of yourself, your masculine and your feminine. You don't have to, if you're only one, you're actually imbalanced. You're stronger by being able to be soft and also being able to be, strong when you need to be. But this is, I just feel like somebody is really starting to actually, they're like this close to being able to embrace that. They're that close to being able to surrender to that and know that, yeah, this is actually true. And we see that already, but let me just ask just one card for each of these, please. And of course, I get two, and I don't know how to separate them. So we're going to go ahead and keep them together because they both fell out underneath our what I call the ice cold masculine here. We got the devil card in the reverse and we got the king of cups in the upright. Talk about like a complete reading here as far as somebody's cutting ties with whoever pulled the strings on this person before, made them feel like they can't express themselves. That was the toxic energy in their life. Somebody actually puppeted this person, and this person, they subtly knew it. They always thought, but you keep telling me this is how I have to behave, or society tells me this is how I have to be, but that's not how I feel on the inside. And isn't it weaker for me to agree with society, which I don't actually agree with, or to agree with whoever this is? Again, we see kind of like a military outfit. I don't know, maybe this was a really, really old school, powerful masculine energy that put a lot of like, you got to live the way I told you to. And they might kind of have subtly thought, why do I have to live the way somebody else told me to? Isn't that me failing to stand up for myself? It's like somebody started to question and challenge what is toxic. Toxic is when you let somebody else run your life. I'm going to run my own life. I'm actually going to live authentically. I'm going to express emotions because I have emotions, and that doesn't make me weak. It makes me strong. This is somebody who is like, oh my God, I'm so excited. This is the one thing, though, they keep kind of procrastinating just a little bit. They find a way every day to be like, but I can't do it today. But I can't do it today. But they're like this close, this close. Hold on. Oh my gosh. This card, I wasn't quite shuffling, but it popped out anyway, and I'm going to keep it. This is to go through with the masculine, feminine energy. We got the Ace of Cups in the upright. This is a cup that has been filled with a lot of tears. Okay. This is a cup of love where there have been a ton of tears because of exactly this. I feel like if I read this in two ways right now, because we see masculine and feminine energy. I'm going to talk about it like it's two people who have both cried and cried and cried and been hurt and wounded over this whole situation. And I also feel like this is talking about one person who struggled to find their masculine and feminine balance, and they cried and cried and cried. And this has to do with finding how do we love ourselves? Well, first we were kind of miserable is what we realized. Miserable when we go against what we authentically want and live according to someone else's rules instead of our own, or the rule of the universe, and listening to our instinct. So there have been a ton of tears shed over something that is a ton of love that have been tons of tears shed over this situation. And I feel like that is on both people's side. So if you have been very much in love with someone and they have been ice cold towards you, they've been crying too. This is that story where it's somebody who's been apart from someone that they love so much, and that person did not reach out to them and did not hold them in their arms and did not tell them how they felt, even though it was like, I feel like there was this knowledge that there was love there. There was love. You could feel it, which is also why there were so many tears, because it sucks so badly to know that somebody loves you and they will not tell you that, or they will not open up about that. This is a situation where there has been tremendous regrets and overthinking. I mean, this person's brain is an absolute maze. Somebody didn't know how to think themselves through this. How do they get themselves to be able to break away from every bit of programming they've ever had and go after what they authentically want? That is a big and powerful step and a hard thing to do. But to be in touch with the masculine, feminine energy. Somebody regretted so much all the tears that have been shed over this incredible amount of love. I feel like this is a story where somebody has pushed and pushed and pushed away at the thing that they wanted most. And that's where we're finally getting to the answers here of, I do still feel like there's a worry that there is a fear. That's why this person keeps procrastinating just a little tiny smidge. This might have been a long time that this situation has sat in this restrictive, icy cold energy where somebody has been fighting with themselves about what they want to do, how they want to express, who they want to love, and the fact that they can't. And this person is like, something is shifting here. I feel like there are such huge energetic shifts everywhere. What is the final thing? What I just want, I don't know why, I just want one final card on this storyline. Um, I don't know about this deck. I don't know why. What is the final card to contemplate? Let me put it that way. Protecting treasure and dry desert. Somebody knows it's time to go. It's time to leave a completely barren situation. Maybe somebody always thought maybe they could change somebody's mind. Maybe they could maintain someone's approval of them, even if they went to, walk their own path in life. And they finally realize someone will never approve of me making any choice in my own life if it isn't their choice. So I can't keep waiting for maybe a strong father figure to approve of me or society to approve of me or whatever it is. That's not going to happen. That is something that maybe I just have to accept. And as soon as I accept that, it sets me free. This is something that has been, I feel like somebody has held on and waited and definitely procrastinated, but they also still felt like they have been protecting this love somehow from getting tarnished. They may have, you know, left it out in the cold or left it sitting someplace, but they also felt like they were protecting this. It was the most important, most valuable thing to them, which could have also in a backwards way explained why somebody really just kind of distance themselves from it. If there has been time and distance in this situation, someone has not come forward, someone has left things unspoken, left things unfinished. In a bizarre way, it is because someone was protecting it so that it didn't have to neither be revealed nor be ended. It was a strange thing. It's like a dog who buries its bone, so that it can come back to it later when the rain has stopped. I'm not saying this is ever a good idea or that really makes sense, but I mean, we see this girl curled up in a rainstorm under this umbrella, but it's not much protection, is it? But she's laying on top of this, treasure chest with this crown sitting beside her. It's you see this figure who is like, I almost think this represents like a feminine who has been left out in the rain and it certainly doesn't feel much like an empress. Certainly doesn't feel very queenly. Doesn't feel very valued right now. But in fact, someone has like placed them in this like suspended animation or placed them out in the cold while still thinking that they were protecting it because they're precious. I know that that's a really backwards way to try to explain something, and I don't know that that's going to make sense to anybody. I'm just saying this is another complicated read, which that's what I seem to do these days is complicated reads. Um, but I'm going to leave this one here and just say it is what it is. Maybe it was more complicated because of my emotional state. I don't think so, though. I would have read these cards that way no matter what. Um, but in any case, all is well. And now I'm going to go hug my doggy. All right, you guys, please take care of yourselves and your loved ones. And I hope everybody has somebody to hold. Bye.